And welcome back. I've done a bit of sculpting all over. As you can see, I've worked a little bit on the boot, still haven't touched the back. Add a little bit more detail to the shirt, to the sleeves, added some to the knife sheath, and maybe a little bit on the face. And as you can see, I'm making a start with the tucking in of the shirt in the where it's bunched up inside the belt, and I did a little bit of smoothing on his undershirt there, and the pants are basically where I left them off, and so I'm gonna subdivide them and add some smaller detail. So we talked about making the big big hills and valleys in the low subdivision, and then once you go higher subdivisions, you really should, well, you can just make the smaller details and just make it work more. And yeah, just work out what kind of fabric you want, and I decided that this is quite soft, so it has smaller folds, or at least I want to see where I want to try make smaller folds in it and make some more subtle shapes in there. So I'd use a smaller brush. It's still the standard, but I just create some ridges and just cut into it and enforce that. It's usually a two-part process. So you make your valley, and then you enforce the hills around it, if that makes sense. So like here I make, well, not here then, let's see. So here we're enforcing one of the hills, so to speak, and enforcing one of our valleys, making it a little bit stronger. And you can see now that we got some more detail, we can make some different kind of folds than the really big ones we did before. And it's not going as fast because you're basically working on really small parts. And I'm really concentrating on the bottom here. But see, well, this is what I talked about. So make a little valley, and then I might, if I feel that it needs to really become important, I do like a little hill next to it. I don't know how else to say it, so I'm just gonna say it like that. Okay, these are the when you look at somebody in pants, there's these really big folds coming down from the crotch area, and usually it's a bit bunched up around the knees. You wouldn't really just take a picture of somebody in jeans and really look at it from the side and stuff. It looks really, not what you would expect. It's very bunched out and there's like a big fold in and stuff. So those are interesting things to look out if you're interested in if you're interested in folds. You don't necessarily have to look at a specific example which shows exactly the fold you want to make. Just see how folds work. So I already did some work on the dagger and the sheath of it. I just wanted to show you guys. Basically, I subdivided it a couple of times and just add some stitches. Don't look so good now, and I might work on them later. I'm not one to make like super high res details, or at least not yet. I might come back, and it all depends on my final image. I'm working to an image here. I'm not working on making a model which you can see from all sides. So if it and this is important, this is a production tip. Really work to what you want to make, because if you're never going to see it, don't make it. So I'm creating just a little weathering on it, and just to make it less smoothed, so to speak, and more interesting. More like a leather sheath which has been sewn together. I'm not completely happy yet, but you know, it'll do for now. And I can come back to it later. And if you really want to smooth out some stuff, just step down a subdivision, and then your smooth works way better. And then when you jump up again, you can smooth out the fine details. So if your smooth don't work, go down a subdivision level. So I already worked on the hilt of the handle of the knife, and I was like, oh, I should show you guys how I did this. It's really not that hard, but so I just, and again, only from the front, because we're not going to see the back. Just adding ridges and making sure that I work on the profile, because that's really what we see, right? That's where we see that it's not just a 2D, but it's 3D. This is a good hotkey to know. When you press S, it gives you the size of your brush really quickly. And as with all hotkeys, they seem a lot of trouble to learn. But believe me, if you use them like 20 times, you sort of forget that you're using them, and it becomes second nature. So keep at it, and before you know it, you know hotkeys, and they really save you time and annoyance, because clicking 3 times in a menu, or clicking the left mouse button or whatever, is just not the same as just your hand is there already. It's on the keyboard. Just it's very easy to do. So anything that can cut down these small little time savers, you know, you wouldn't believe what a big overall saver that is. So okay, so there you go. Got the handle, and we'll work on the other handle as well a little bit, even though we really can't see it that much, but you know, might as well create a little well, sort of the idea that it's been how do you say, that there's these leather straps going around. So I'm just using the clay buildup, which is a square brush alpha, and just making some leather straps. You know, we can always go back and change it later, but it feels like, you know, there would be these leather straps or leather stripped around it, like a tennis racket, really. Then maybe a little bit more crude, just to have some grip on it. You create the illusion really quickly, and you just gotta look at some stuff and or sort of have it in your mind what you want to make, and just do it. If I was making a model which we would see from all sides, I would definitely go further than this, and you know, but we're not, so. Let's create some ridges, maybe add a subdivision. I'm using Ctrl D to make a subdivision, and you can step down with Shift D and D. You go back up again. Alright, well, I'm gonna stop it here, and the next lesson we'll continue with adding details in ZBrush, and I'll see you guys there. Alright, thank you for listening.